Have you ever felt anger rise inside you like a wildfire? It burns away your peace. It damages the relationships you hold dear. Those moments when words are spoken that shouldn't be. Actions are taken that can't be undone. And all that's left behind is a wave of regret. What if I told you there's a solution? A simple, cost-free medicine. Something that can help you take control of your anger and rediscover inner peace. Today, I'll share a powerful story. It was once told by the Buddha to his disciples. A timeless lesson on transforming anger into calmness. By the end of this video, you'll learn a profound secret. You'll also discover practical tools. Tools that can change the way you face life's challenges. Stay with me until the end. It might just change how you see anger forever. Part 1: The Story Retold. The story shared by the Buddha about the quarrelsome lady reveals timeless wisdom. It's a lesson about mastering emotions. Let's break this narrative down further. We'll explore its deeper implications. And we'll connect it with real-world examples. The lesson behind the story. The core of this story lies in the simplicity of the medicine. The sage's instructions, to stay silent for 10 minutes when anger arises, were practical. Silence gave her time to pause. To reflect. To let the initial surge of anger subside. It wasn't the water in the vial that worked the magic. It was the act of intentional silence. This reflects an essential truth. Anger is temporary. But its consequences can be lasting. The practice of silence interrupts impulsive reactions. It allows room for thoughtful responses. Historical examples of mastering anger. Abraham Lincoln's hot letter technique. Abraham Lincoln had a unique way of managing anger. When frustrated, he wrote what he called a hot letter. In the letter, he poured out his frustrations. He detailed everything he wanted to say. But, here's the key, he never sent it. He set the letter aside. Waited for his emotions to cool. Most letters were never sent. This act of writing was his silent medicine. It allowed him to act with clarity. Not in the heat of the moment. Mahatma Gandhi's silence as power. Mahatma Gandhi also used silence as a tool. He observed regular days of silence. During these days, he refrained from speaking. No matter the provocation. This discipline helped him manage emotions. It allowed him to reflect deeply before responding. Gandhi's silence was his strength. It gave him the patience to lead with wisdom. Practical insights from the quarrelsome lady's transformation. 1. The power of silence. Silence acts as a buffer. When we're angry, our instinct is to lash out. Silence creates a pause. It gives us a moment to breathe and regain control. This is why the sage's medicine worked. It wasn't the water but the act of staying silent that made the difference. 2. Rewiring habits. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. The woman practiced silence each time anger arose. Neuroscience supports this. Every time we choose a calm response over an impulsive reaction, we rewire our brain. Over time, patience and self-control become second nature. 3. Emotional healing. Mastering anger brought peace to her family. It mended relationships strained by conflict. This highlights another truth. Controlling anger isn't just about self-improvement. It's about healing and nurturing our bonds with others. Real-life applications. Thomas Edison's composure. In 1914, Thomas Edison's laboratory burned down. Years of work were destroyed. Instead of reacting with anger, he stayed composed. He calmly told his son, "Go get your mother. She'll never see a fire like this again." Edison's resilience was remarkable. He knew anger wouldn't rebuild what he lost. But a calm, focused mind could. Modern examples. In today's fast-paced world, figures like Michelle Obama inspire grace under pressure. As First Lady, she faced criticism and challenges. Her measured responses often earned admiration. Her approach reflects the story's lesson. Silence and composure lead to better outcomes. Practical tips to cultivate silence. 1. The 10-minute rule. When anger flares, commit to 10 minutes of silence. Focus on your breath. Ground yourself in the present moment. 2. Visual reminders. Carry a small object like a bracelet or stone. Let it remind you of the vial of medicine. Hold it when anger rises. And recall the story. 3. Journaling your thoughts. Write down your feelings instead of expressing them in anger. Like Lincoln's hot letter, revisit your words later with a clear mind. 4. Daily silence practice. Set aside a few minutes each day for silence. This builds emotional resilience. It enhances your ability to respond calmly. 5. Seek inspiration. Read about leaders like Gandhi or Lincoln. Their stories motivate patience and wisdom. Key takeaway. The Quarrelsome Lady's journey teaches us a powerful truth. Anger doesn't have to control us. Through intentional silence, we reclaim our power. We heal relationships. We lead a life of peace and harmony. History and science affirm this. The greatest victories often begin with mastering ourselves. Part 2. Insights from the story. Insights from the story. The story of the Quarrelsome Lady is more than a moral lesson. It reveals profound truths about human nature, emotions, and self-control. Let's break it down further. We'll connect it to historical examples and practical strategies for modern life. Why silence is a game changer. Anger is a primal emotion. When triggered, it hijacks our rational mind. It pushes us to act impulsively. The lady in the story discovered an important truth. Silence isn't just about keeping quiet. It's about pausing to regain control. The science behind silence. When anger arises, the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, takes over. This amygdala hijack bypasses the logical prefrontal cortex. Silence acts as a reset button. It gives the brain time to deactivate the emotional surge. It re-engages rational thinking. Studies in neuroscience show that pausing during emotional spikes helps avoid rash decisions, strengthens emotional intelligence over time. Historical examples of silence as wisdom. Nelson Mandela, silence in the face of injustice. Nelson Mandela endured 27 years of imprisonment. He faced countless moments of frustration and anger. Yet, he chose silence over retaliation. He once said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies." His silence became his strength. It allowed him to reflect, strategize, and unite a divided nation. The Dalai Lama's calm demeanor. The Dalai Lama has faced exile, persecution, and adversity. Despite this, he responds with a smile and calm words. When asked how he maintains his composure, he explains, reacting with anger perpetuates suffering. Instead, he uses silence and meditation to cultivate compassion. Deeper lessons from the story. 1. Anger is temporary, but its impact can be permanent. The woman's anger caused deep wounds in her family. Unchecked anger can lead to damaged relationships, lost opportunities, long-term regret. By choosing silence, she broke the cycle of conflict. This allowed her relationships to heal. 2. Silence creates space for clarity. Anger narrows our vision. We focus only on what fuels the emotion. Silence broadens our perspective. It's like stepping back from a painting. You see the whole picture, not just the chaotic brushstrokes. 3. The power of practice. The woman didn't transform overnight. She practiced the sage's advice consistently. Similarly, mastering emotions requires deliberate effort. It takes patience and persistence. Practical applications for modern life. 1. Parenting, the pause principle. Imagine a child spills juice on a new carpet. Instead of yelling, the parent pauses. Taking a moment to breathe prevents escalation. It teaches the child that mistakes can be corrected calmly. 2. Workplace dynamics. In a high-pressure meeting, a colleague unfairly criticizes your work. Reacting in anger might damage your reputation. Staying silent gives you time to formulate a thoughtful response. This often shifts the dynamic in your favor. 3. Everyday scenarios, road rage. You're stuck in traffic. Another driver cuts you off. Your first instinct is to shout or honk aggressively. But you choose silence instead. This protects your peace and avoids unnecessary conflict. Philosophical perspectives on anger. Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius on self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Anger isn't caused by external events. It's how we interpret and react to them. Buddhism, anger as a mental poison. In Buddhism, anger is one of the 3 poisons. It clouds the mind and leads to suffering. Practicing silence and mindfulness neutralizes anger. It frees us from its grip. Confucianism, harmony through restraint. Confucius emphasized self-restraint to maintain social harmony. A wise person stays calm and composed, even when provoked. The Quarrelsome Lady's Transformation embodies this principle. Theodore Roosevelt's self-control. Theodore Roosevelt struggled with anger, but he made a conscious effort to master it. One rule he followed was never to act or write in anger. He set aside letters or decisions until he had calmed down. This discipline allowed him to lead effectively. Building the habit of silence. 1. Mindful breathing. Focus on your breath. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly when anger arises. This calms the nervous system and creates space for reflection. 2. Delayed responses. If you feel the urge to react, Delay your response. Count to 10. Sip water. Or step away. This mirrors the sage's advice of holding the medicine for 10 minutes. 3. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, reflect on moments of anger. Ask yourself, what triggered the emotion? How did I respond? What could I have done differently? 4. Adopt a role model. Choose someone you admire for their composure. Channel their demeanor in challenging situations. Ask, how would Mandela handle this? The medicine we all need. The lady thought she needed an external cure for her anger. But the sage showed her the real solution was within. Silence, patience, and mindfulness are universal medicines. They are tools we all have access to. With practice, these simple habits can transform our lives. Part 3. Real-life applications. The story of the quarrelsome lady is more than just a fable. It's a practical guide for managing anger and conflict in daily life. Let's explore how these lessons can be applied. We'll draw from historical and modern-day examples. 1. The 10-minute rule in action. The sage's medicine required 10 minutes of silence. This created a buffer between anger and reaction. It's a practical and transformative approach. Parenting, breaking the cycle of reactivity. Parenting often comes with high-stress moments. Imagine a child spills paint on the carpet. The natural reaction might be to yell. But applying the 10-minute rule gives time to pause. Instead, the parent calmly guides the child to clean up. This turns a potential conflict into a teaching moment. Historical example, Helen Keller and Anne Sullivan. Anne Sullivan faced challenges teaching Helen Keller. Helen's frustration often led to tantrums. Anne's patience and composure transformed Helen's life. This shows how silence and calm can reshape relationships. 2. Workplace scenarios, transforming conflict into collaboration. The workplace is another setting where anger can surface. Pausing to reflect and respond thoughtfully can create opportunities. Real-world example, Satya Nadella's leadership style. Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, practices empathetic leadership. In high-stakes meetings, he listens and responds thoughtfully. This builds trust and fosters collaboration. It reflects the sage's lesson, silence as a tool for transformation. Practical tip, the silent meeting rule. Some organizations use silent meetings. Participants reflect silently for 5 minutes before discussions. This reduces tension and leads to better conversations. 3. Relationships, healing through silence. The woman's control over her anger brought peace to her family. Silence not only benefits individuals but also strengthens relationships. Example, Eleanor Roosevelt's grace. Eleanor Roosevelt often faced criticism. She held her tongue in moments of anger, choosing thoughtful responses. This preserved her relationships and enhanced her influence. 4. Everyday scenarios, responding to strangers. The story's lessons extend to interactions with strangers. The silent pause in road rage. Imagine being cut off in traffic. The instinct might be to honk or yell. Instead, take a deep breath and remain silent. This small act of self-control preserves peace and avoids conflict. Example, Barack Obama's measured responses. Barack Obama often faced heated debates. He paused deliberately before responding. This practice earned him respect and showcased self-restraint. 5. Personal growth, transforming the inner dialogue. Anger isn't always directed outward. It often turns inward as self-criticism or frustration. Silence can transform this inner dialogue. Example: Oprah Winfrey's mindfulness practice. Oprah Winfrey credits mindfulness for her emotional balance. Through silence and introspection, she transforms inner turmoil into clarity. Practical steps to apply the story's lessons. 1. Create a pause trigger. Use a reminder, like a bracelet, to pause when anger rises. 2. The breath anchor. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. And exhale for 4. Repeat this to calm your nervous system. 3. Practice daily gratitude. Shift your focus from unmet expectations to what you're grateful for. 4. Role-play scenarios. Prepare for stressful situations by visualizing calm responses. 5. Reflect and learn. Journal after emotional moments. Ask yourself, what triggered my anger? How did I respond? What could I do differently next time? Examples from modern psychology. Psychology supports the story's lessons. Cognitive reappraisal. Change your perspective on anger-provoking situations. For example, see rude comments as reflections of others' struggles. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR. Observe emotions without judgment to reduce their intensity. Key insights from the applications. The story offers timeless wisdom for many situations. In parenting, silence fosters patience and understanding. In the workplace, it builds respect and collaboration. In relationships, it heals and strengthens bonds. In personal growth, it transforms self-criticism into self-compassion. Silence is a universal tool for navigating life's challenges. It helps us respond with wisdom and grace instead of impulsiveness. Whether managing a tantrum, a tough boss, or an inner critic, these principles are as relevant today as they were in Buddha's time. Part 4. Practical steps to master anger. The story of the quarrelsome lady offers a framework for managing anger. Let's explore practical steps inspired by this wisdom. These techniques, supported by history and psychology, can help you master emotions and foster inner peace. 1. The power of the pause. The sage's advice emphasizes pausing before reacting. This simple act interrupts the impulse of anger, giving time to respond thoughtfully. Historical example: Viktor Frankl's philosophy. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Frankl's ability to pause helped him survive and find meaning, even in the harshest conditions. Practical application: the 3-breath rule. When anger arises, take 3 slow breaths before reacting. Focus on your breath entering and leaving your body. This anchors you in the present and calms emotional surges. 2. Silence as a shield. Silence isn't just the absence of words, it's a tool for self-control. By staying silent, you protect yourself and others from rash reactions. Modern example, Warren Buffett's decision-making. Warren Buffett avoids making decisions in moments of emotional intensity. He takes time to reflect before responding, preventing costly mistakes. Practical tip, count to 10. If anger flares during a conversation, count to 10 silently. This gives you space to collect your thoughts and respond clearly. 3. Channeling anger into positive action. Anger, when managed correctly, can fuel motivation and action. Redirect it into constructive efforts instead of destructive outbursts. Example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s nonviolent resistance. Dr. King channeled anger into peaceful protests and inspiring speeches. He transformed societal rage into a force for justice and equality. Practical application, write it out. When overwhelmed by anger, write your feelings down. This process releases pent-up emotions and provides clarity on the issue. 4. Developing self-awareness. The woman in the story learned to recognize and address her anger early. Similarly, self-awareness is vital for emotional mastery. Historical example, Benjamin Franklin's daily reflection. Franklin reflected daily on his behavior, evaluating moments of temper. This practice helped him plan better responses and grow emotionally. Practical tip, keep an anger journal. At day's end, write: what triggered your anger? How did you respond? What could you do differently next time? Patterns will emerge, guiding improvements. 5. The role of empathy. Empathy shifts your focus from blame to understanding. This diffuses anger and fosters compassion. Example, Mother Teresa's compassion. Mother Teresa often worked in challenging environments. Her deep empathy helped her respond with kindness, even under hostility. Practical application, the empathy pause. When provoked, ask yourself, what might this person be experiencing? How would I feel in their position? This mental shift softens anger and opens understanding. 6. Cultivating mindfulness. Mindfulness involves observing thoughts and emotions without judgment. It helps you recognize anger as temporary and manageable. Example, Steve Jobs' meditation practice. Steve Jobs credited mindfulness for his composure and creativity. By practicing meditation, he navigated stress with clarity and focus. Practical application, the body scan technique. When anger rises, close your eyes and focus on your body from toes to head. Notice tension and discomfort. This exercise grounds you in the present moment. 7. Building emotional resilience. The woman's transformation came from consistent practice. Emotional resilience is built through deliberate, repeated effort. Example, Oprah Winfrey's gratitude practice. Oprah focuses on gratitude during challenging times. This perspective shift helps her maintain emotional balance. Practical tip, daily gratitude list. Write 3 things you're grateful for each day. This trains your mind to focus on positivity, reducing anger's grip. 8. The role of forgiveness. Resentment keeps anger alive. Forgiveness frees you from its emotional burden. Example, Nelson Mandela's forgiveness. After 27 years in prison, Mandela forgave his captors. He said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and hoping it will kill your enemies." Practical application, the forgiveness letter. Write a letter to someone who hurt you. Express your feelings and choose forgiveness. You don't have to send it, writing is enough to release anger. 9. Practicing the magic medicine daily. The woman's medicine wasn't a one-time fix, it became a habit. Similarly, these techniques should be integrated into daily life. Practical routine for mastery. Morning. Begin with 5 minutes of mindfulness meditation. During the day, use the 10-second rule or deep breaths when anger arises. Evening. Reflect on your emotional responses and plan improvements. Conclusion of the steps. The Quarrelsome Lady's story provides timeless tools for managing anger. By pausing, practicing mindfulness, and cultivating empathy, we transform anger. These steps turn anger from a destructive force into an opportunity for growth. They are the medicine for mastering emotions in our modern lives. Part 5. The Teachings of Buddha on Anger. The story of the Quarrelsome Lady offers practical wisdom. It's deeply rooted in the teachings of the Buddha. In Buddhism, anger is one of the 3 poisons, along with greed and ignorance. These poisons cloud the mind and lead to suffering. By understanding the Buddha's insights, we can deepen our ability to manage anger. 1. Anger as a mental poison. Buddhist philosophy views anger as arising from unmet expectations. When reality doesn't align with our desires, frustration builds. This leads to anger, creating suffering for ourselves and others. The ripple effect of anger. Anger is like a stone thrown into a still pond. The ripples spread far beyond the initial point of impact. Similarly, anger creates waves of negativity. It affects relationships, health, and mental peace. Historical example, Ashoka's transformation. Emperor Ashoka of India once fueled his conquests with anger. After witnessing the devastation he caused, he turned to Buddhism. He embraced peace and compassion, renouncing violence. Ashoka's transformation shows the power of overcoming anger. 2. The root of anger, unmet desires. The Buddha taught that anger stems from clinging to desires. When expectations aren't met, dissatisfaction arises. The parable of the mustard seed. A grieving woman asked the Buddha to bring her son back to life. The Buddha told her to find a mustard seed from a home untouched by loss. She realized every household had experienced suffering. This parable shows how clinging to unrealistic desires leads to pain. 3. The antidote to anger, mindfulness and compassion. The Buddha emphasized mindfulness and compassion to counter anger. Mindfulness helps us recognize anger as it arises. Compassion transforms anger into understanding and empathy. Practical example, loving-kindness meditation. This practice involves silently repeating phrases such as, "May I be happy. May others be happy. May all beings be free from suffering." By wishing well for ourselves and others, we soften anger. It builds emotional resilience. Modern example, Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings. Thich Nhat Hanh, a Zen master, likened anger to a crying baby. He taught that we should care for anger with mindfulness, not suppression. 4. The role of silence in Buddhist teachings. Silence is central to the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha often remained silent when provoked. Silence allows for reflection and prevents harmful words. Example: the Buddha and the angry man. An angry man insulted the Buddha. The Buddha remained calm and silent. When asked why, he said, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" This response illustrates the power of silence in diffusing conflict. Practical application: pause before speaking. When anger arises, practice pausing before speaking. This moment of silence helps emotions settle. 5. The Eightfold Path as a framework for anger management. The Eightfold Path provides guidance for overcoming anger. Right speech: speak words that are truthful, kind, and beneficial. Right mindfulness: be aware of your thoughts without being swept away. Right effort: cultivate patience and compassion. Letting go of anger. Example: modern psychology and the Eightfold Path. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, aligns with these principles. CBT encourages reframing negative thought patterns, similar to mindfulness. 6. The karma of anger. Buddhism teaches that every action, word, and thought generates karma. Reckless anger creates negative karma, leading to future suffering. Patience and compassion create positive karma, bringing peace. Example: Dalai Lama's perspective. The Dalai Lama explains that anger plants seeds for future suffering. Choosing patience instead cultivates conditions for lasting peace. 7. Practical steps from Buddhist teachings. Step 1. Recognize anger as temporary. Remind yourself that anger is like a passing storm. It will clear, leaving calm behind. Step 2. Practice mindful observation. Observe anger without judgment. Notice how it feels in your body and mind. Step 3. Use compassion as a tool. Ask, what pain or unmet need might be driving this anger? Focus on understanding rather than reacting. Step 4. Reflect on the consequences. Think about the long-term impact of your actions before responding. Step 5. Seek a teacher or mentor. A teacher or mindfulness community can support your journey. 8. The universal relevance of the Buddha's teachings. The Buddha's insights on anger are timeless. They resonate across cultures and philosophies. Through mindfulness, compassion, and silence, anger can be understood and transformed. The path to peace. By applying the Buddha's teachings, we can move beyond anger. The story of the quarrelsome lady is a roadmap for growth and transformation. Through mindfulness and compassion, we free ourselves from anger's grip. This leads to clarity, joy, and purpose. The story of the quarrelsome woman isn't just her story. It's ours. All of us have, at some point, let anger take the reins. But the true antidote is silence and patience. As the Buddha taught, silence protects us from the harm of anger. It also unlocks the key to stronger relationships. And it helps us find lasting peace within ourselves. If this story resonated with you, I invite you to try the medicine of silence. You'll be amazed at how small, intentional changes can transform your life. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel, Buddhist Balance. Together, we'll explore the Buddha's teachings and uncover practical wisdom for modern living. Don't forget to share this video. Send it to a friend or family member. It might be the gift of peace they need today. Thank you for watching. And remember, silence is strength.